Is this video proof that the drive-by dunk challenge needs to die?
No. I mean, 2 points. Scoreboard.
Look, I mean, the first rule here is it's all fun and games until someone gets hurt, and it looked like he was about to get hurt there.
I feel like if you have a step ladder, then you should not be participating in this challenge. It's just not for you.
No, man, I'm a vertically challenged man. I travel with a stepladder.
In the trunk of the car?
Yeah, or a phone book.
You and Rachel Nichols both.
Welcome to the jump. Emilio Haas is still filling in for the vertically challenged Rachel Nichols here in lovely Los Angeles. And we're, not for me, we'd be calling this the Kevin Show. We've got two ESPN.com NBA heavyweights here. Kevin Arnovitz, Kevin Pelton. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thanks.
Thanks, guys. That's really delayed. Good job.
Make me feel at home.
And in my best Ken Brockman voice, we've got breaking news into the ESPN newsroom. Clippers owner Steve Ballmer has decided to relieve head coach Doc Rivers of his front office duties today. Ballmer telling ESPN that Rivers will continue to have a strong voice in personnel and organizational matters and will partner with Executive VP of Basketball Ops Lawrence Frank. Ballmer saying, quote, "I've owned the team for 3 years now, and I really better understand what an owner's responsibility is. And it turns out that running a franchise and coaching are two enormous and different jobs. Who could have known? The notion that one person could fairly focus on them and give them all the attention that they need isn't the case." End quote. Arnovitz, you are a resident Clipper aficionado. What does this mean?
No, the dual role does not work. It's not tenable. You need somebody worrying about 7-10 tip-off tonight. You need somebody else worrying about the offseason in 2019.
Should have said 7-10, July 10th.
Yep.
There you go.
But Lawrence Frank's a quick study. He's been good. I mean, you can see already the orientation of the team going away from the 2010 All-Stars as filling out your bench to, you know, guys like Teodosic, down European star. You kind of go with value,
And I think that's kind of, this move formalizes something that was already in the works. Lawrence Frank was clearly taking a stronger role in terms of player personnel, and then also bringing in Jerry West as a consultant. It kind of diluted Doc Rivers' power before this official announcement.
Right, so that's my thing. Is this really, this feels less about Ballmer learning on the job and more about the specter of Jerry West in the nefarious consultant position, right? No responsibility, no job title on my own, but just kind of Stuttgart sports whispering his way. "Psst, Steve, this is what we need to do. You need to strip the coach of his GM duties."
Which is interesting because I sat with Steve Ballmer one-on-one in April, and he insisted that, no, you want one person reporting, and the job is integrated, so.
Is anyone ever going to master this? I mean, we've seen it time and time again. I guess Greg Popovich, but I think the secret sauce to Greg Popovich's dual role is that he concedes all of the GM powers and duties to RC, other than something cataclysmic of franchise-changing, power magnitude.
Which I think is very similar to the Seattle Seahawks successful arrangement with Pete Carroll and John Schneider, which is fascinating because Steve Ballmer said that they were two of the people he consulted with about this, obviously being from Seattle. So it's kind of surprising it took him 3 years to figure this out.
There is no rookie orientation for owners.
By the way, here's some notable Clipper moves. This is what I like to call the "Welcome to the Clippers" timetable here. This is a big offseason they had, trading Chris Paul away. Obviously, in the past, Griffin, Jordan, acquiring Redick in the three-team trade, which is, I believe, that was their first big deal, right, Kevin, when they first came in? And the infamous trading for and extending Austin Rivers, trading for Jeff Green, Lance Stevenson, all of those things where, yeah, look at that.
Pat Beverly in the middle.
He's the guy. He told us yesterday, we heard, that he's the one that demanded a trade. He wants to see the height of his superpowers. Gallinari's got a broken hand.
Not pictured in the hand, not pictured.
Blake Griffin, ready, won't be ready, we don't know yet. By camp time, Austin Rivers, MVP caliber season this year. It's a motley crew there, but I think the main thing here is that you do need someone who, as you said, is focused on a picture that extends longer than tonight's game.
Yeah, you know, it's funny, because Frank kind of is a guy who knows what he doesn't know, and his learning curve has been steep, and he's really, he's a listener. And I think he is a guy who appreciates, again, the upside. Like, Hedo Turkle, let's get some guys in here who, we can win with on the margins, rather than just going with guys that outperform their potential against Doc Rivers in the playoffs.
It also starts with respecting your draft picks. Like, you looking at draft picks as a commodity rather than something that you just hand off.
And there was like 2 full weeks there where they had an extra draft pick from the Rockets from that Chris Paul trade before they traded it to get rid of Jamal Crawford. But, you know, the one thing we didn't see in that graphic, the Clippers actually have a bench this year.
Yes.
Lou Williams, who was third, I think, in six-man award voting last year. Willie Reed was a nice pickup for them at the minimum. Montrezl Harrell and Sam Decker also from that Houston trade. This is going to be a much deeper Clippers team, and that's why I think they might outperform expectations.
The draft pick thing is huge. I mean, just because you don't value the pick doesn't mean the league doesn't value it. You have to value it the way it's valued on the open market, and they've missed that the last several years.
Thrown away just pieces of gold everywhere. Like, this is worthless. All right, moving on. Michael Jordan is making comments about other players again. His latest take is about Kawhi Leonard, saying, quote, he's the best two-way player in the game right now, end quote. Kawhi, by the way, just by chance, is sponsored by Jordan Brand. After saying earlier this week that Kobe Bryant is better than LeBron James because of rings, now Kawhi is the best two-way player. Arnavitz,
I voted for him for MVP. So trolling is a variable term in the NBA. Like, I mean, is it a legitimate opinion? I mean, again, I voted for Leonard. Is Jordan? Does he throw darts at LeBron? Yeah, maybe, maybe not. Look, he's an uber competitive guy, and I mean, troll, critique. Critique.
I don't know if that's a critique. Arnavitz, you have a bone to pick with the whole concept of the two-way player.
Well, to me, there's 2 words too many. Best player should also be the best two-way player because both ways are part of playing. But the way it gets used is guy who's probably the weaker part of his game is the best, is what people are saying.
Right.
And at this point, Kawhi's offense is better than LeBron's defense. So I think that it's not trolling. I think it is accurate the way it's used.
I'm going to fight you on the whole concept that the guy who does both should be the best player, because what if offense is X and defense is Y, but my X is of a magnitude of 1,000,000 and my Y is modest? That is surely better than someone who has a modest X and a modest Y, or a strong X and a strong Y. In other words, Steve Nash, for instance, for us, we knew he wasn't a good defensive player individually, but his ability to create offense for everybody was so great, it outweighed point guards who were more balanced than him on the floor.
Yeah, who was your guy? I mean, who led the league in RPM this year?
I don't remember our
Chris
team off
Paul?
the top of my head. Russell Westbrook was tops in wins above replacement player, and he was my pick for MVP. But, I mean, I don't disagree with what you're saying. I mean, I'm just saying that, you know, the combination of the two should be the best two-way player to me, because you're including both of those in there.
Let me play devil's advocate. What about the Rachel Nichols school of thought that if LeBron wanted to, he could be better at defense, but he chooses not to? So should we just ignore the idea that there's a conscious decision by him to not be better defensively on a day-to-day basis?
Like if I'm drafting for a 7-game series, LeBron. If I'm drafting for 82 games plus the playoffs, Kawhi.
I still feel like all of these things come across as darts at LeBron, right?
Kind of.
All right. So Pelton, you came out. Oh, whoa, look at this. Oh, we got some. Oh, wow. And of course, we don't have the audio. I haven't seen this. Come on, man. This is.
Is that new?
I guess it's new, and it's him singing along to Meek Mill. And LeBron, I was just about to go into a passion defense of LeBron, and I'm tired of these guys picking on him and stuff. And then you do that, and never
I don't know, the victimology, not into it. Superstar victimology, no.
And that's what I was going to say about the Jordan thing. Does it actually count as trolling in the NBA anymore if you don't put it on social media?
Yeah. That too, but also does it count as trolling when this is someone who legitimately picked Kwame Brown first overall in draft, Adam Morrison third overall, but yet we still value his opinions on things like this.
So he has no credibility as a talent evaluator.
Yeah, I mean, just because you're the greatest player of all time doesn't mean you're also great at the other parts of basketball. I don't know, is that too harsh, America? All right. So, Kevin Pelton, you came out with projected wins, losses, and standings for next season on ESPN.com, and not everyone is happy with your projections. Surprise, surprise. Take a look at DeMar DeRozan's response. Simply FOH. Look it up, kids. In response to the Raptors' 43-win, sixth-place projection. And DeMarcus Cousins with the sleeping emoji in response to the ninth-place, 44-win total projection in the West. To be fair, DeMarcus Cousins is overseas in Johannesburg at the NBA Africa game, so maybe he was actually sleepy because of the time zone difference. But, KP, are you surprised by these or any other reactions?
Are you flattered?
A little bit, although, I don't
They don't know
think
you.
they had no idea that I was involved with them, unlike Jason Richardson when he was asking who I was. But was FOH, was that a reference to Friends of Hoop, the Seattle AAU program that George Karl helped found?
Probably, yeah.
I think so. No, I think DeMar DeRozan was right to feel a little surprised by the fact that their projection was so low, especially in a relatively weak Eastern Conference.
Right.
Seems like RPM probably overrating the loss of Patrick Patterson for the Raptors. For DeMarcus Cousins, I don't think he has as much of a leg to stand on. This is a team that was, below 500 after they added him last year at the trade deadline. I think there's a stronger case that RPM is overrating them than it's underrating them.
44 wins, is that crazy to project for the Pelicans?
I like Holiday. I don't like the Rondo thing. It is an unknown experiment. They are going against every trend that is prevailing in the league right now. I have no idea. They're one of the hardest teams for me to predict. I still think they'll figure out the offensive piece. Look, they were seventh defensively last year. There is, I think, a potential. If they were in the East, 46 wins.
Sure. I go back to the whole, is there enough space on the floor for them? Because I do think, I'm in the minority in this. I think you can craft a really creative, really unstoppable offense around Cousins and Davis. The idea that they're very multi-talented, very large human beings. But all of that is for naught if every other defender can just sit in their lap and say, okay, what are you going to do now? And I know Rondo shot well from three last year, but again, if you're a defensive player and that's happening over there and you're guarding Rondo, do you even hesitate to leave him to go help on that?
Right, like your argument would be if Eton Moore is your sort of variant, that is the margin of success, it's chancy.
It all comes down to the threat is more important than the actual making that shot. All right, more from Cousins and how he can't keep his old team, the Kings, out of his mouth. Cousins telling ESPN's The Undefeated, quote, I can't wait. Oh, my God, I can't wait. I'm praying it's the first game. I just got a lot to get off my chest. I can't wait, unquote. Cousins said about playing in Sacramento next season, right? Guys, should Boogie really feel this way?
I think so. I mean, you look at the way Sacramento talked after that trade about we're putting newfound importance on character. Like, they pretty clearly were subtweeting DeMarcus Cousins real hard.
Yeah, I mean, this was an organization that was abominable during his tenure. Owners and management willfully lied to him again and again. Look, I'm somebody who believes you should practice mindfulness, so I don't think Boogie should be preoccupied with vengeance. But, I kind of understand.
I think he's in a better situation. Whether he liked the way he exited or not, I think he's better off for exiting. And they're probably better off. It was a relationship that needed to end, right? For me, I hope that he can focus on the positivity looking forward. I'm much more happy to hear that he's upset with Kevin Pelton than he is upset with the Kings, because Kevin Pelton's talking about something that's going to happen, and the Kings are history. And I don't blame him because, as we just pointed out, he got mistreated by them. He obviously played a part in why they weren't as successful also. Everyone played a part in this. But to me, it's let it go, man. You're in a better place. You're better off not being there, even though you're $70 million poorer because of that.
It's kind of zen for you.
It is. I try. We have to get the break, but first let's show you how Shaq honored one of the great NBA referees who's retired. One, Mr. Danny Crawford, who worked a remarkable 23 NBA Finals, calling a career after 31 seasons. Shaq's one-word initial reaction? Good. Then he followed up with, congrats to Danny Crawford, having a great officiating career, even though he gave him 16 technical fouls and 2 ejections. Happy retirement, Danny Crawford. That's my Shaq. Is it good? Not so much?
7.1.
It's funny.
Good.
The 2 for 6.
Welcome back to The Jump. Amino Hassan here with Kevin Pelton and Kevin Arnovitz. You guys just heard John Wall saying he wants to win a title with the Wizards. Pelton, do you see John Wall as the best player on an NBA champion team one day?
I mean, honestly, I'm not sure we would even be having this discussion if the Wizards were in the Western Conference. They probably would be the kind of team that, maybe they win around like Utah did last year, but they're not real threats to get to the conference finals even. This is just because they're in the Eastern Conference Finals, and that's why they were a game away from, or the Eastern Conference, and that's why they were a game away from getting to the conference finals.
Yeah, my issue with the Wizards is, where's your Draymond? And by this I mean, they don't have the flexibility to go out and get another big name. They're too good to be drafting in the lottery. Right. And so the question for every team in that position is, where can you find value? Where's the second rounder you're going to hit on? Where's the late first rounder you're going to hit on? Where's the bargain basement guy that you acquire and develop and who becomes a difference maker? And that's going to be the margin for them.
I guess let me rephrase this question, kind of like what it says on the banner, which is, do you guys think that John Wall can be the best player on a championship team? Not the Wizards, just say any team where he's the best player.
I think in a Detroit-ish situation, 2004,
right,
where you were talking earlier, like Chauncey being, maybe one with a bunch of 1As, 1Bs,
right.
1Cs, a by committee team, yeah.
But that's definitely the exception. I mean, before those Pistons, we have to go all the way back to the '79 Sonics to find a team like that. So, are you going to count on being a once every 25 years exception?
I mean, it's weird. I mean, life is so serendipitous. I think about the Portland Trailblazers of 2000, who lost in Game 7 to the Lakers. They win that series. They probably win. Well, they didn't win robbed. They lost fair and square. But if they'd won, they probably win the NBA Finals. And then we talk about them as being in the same breath as that Detroit team of 1As and 1Bs as opposed to one true superstar, 2 stars, and everyone else following them. But I just think about John Wall. If you think about recent Finals MVPs or the best player on each Finals team over the last decade or so, I mean, you can go back, Kevin Durant this year before that, LeBron James. Is he as good as that guy? Not really. Year before that, Andre Iguodala, but we know Steph Curry was the best player on that team. I don't think he can be that good. Can he be as good as Kawhi Leonard was in 2014? Perhaps. That would be probably the upper echelon. But then LeBron James, no. Dirk in 2011, no. Kobe in 10 and 9, no. Even Paul Pierce. These guys, everyone on this list with the exception of Iguodala, are Hall of Famers. Is John Wall going to be a Hall of Famer? Right now, he's not there yet in terms of a resume. But can he reach that upper echelon, I guess is the question, to be good enough to lead a team to a championship?
I mean, where are we? Like, shooting is the area he's got to improve. I mean, if the question is what does he need to do to be a Hall of Famer? Right. He needs to stretch out a little more. His vision is great. I like his defense. I mean, he's a really good player.
Excellent,
I mean, I come not to bury John Wall. And look, I still think, again, a fourth player. In some ways, do we look in retrospect, are those guys Hall of Famers because they had great supporting cast? In other words, think about Paul Pierce in 2003, 2004, 2005. Are we talking about him in that context?
Absolutely not.
Yeah, I mean, maybe there's a window for it, but I guess it comes back to is if you're talking about these Wizards who are already over the luxury tax, have John Wall's max extension kicking in a couple of years here, is there any scenario where they get that kind of depth? It's pretty unlikely.
Probably not. All right. We go from one point guard to another in Lonzo Ball. But before that, here's the latest update on the situation between Charles Oakley and Madison Square Garden. Oh, excuse me, Lonzo Ball. Sorry about that, guys. Lonzo Ball is the most popular mainstream All-American media mention of any player drafted between the years of 2003 and 2017. This info is courtesy of Chris Herring at 538.com. Ball received a whopping 702 mentions in mainstream published newspapers from May 1st to July 30th, for the most of any top 5 pick drafted in the last 5 years. Arnovitz, you live out here in L.A. What do you think makes Lonzo so popular?
This is the LeVar effect. I mean, LeVar Ball is interesting because he wants fame and the material benefits that come with fame. Here's the problem. We don't afford those things to the parents of elite athletes unless they behave outrageously and often obnoxiously. And so he kind of created this transactional relationship with the press. He provides them fodder, we provide him bandwidth, and it works because he is missing an essential ingredient to public life, which is shame. If you're willing to abandon shame, we have an entire economy based on shame. Right? The reason 98% of people don't behave like LeVar Ball is they have shame.
Right.
He's willing to abandon that. And for that, he gets to enter into this transaction.
That sounds almost like you were congratulating him on not having shame in a little way. But, I think it goes above and beyond just LeVar. It's also the fact that Lonzo is this really polarizing prospect who has these great strengths and these great weaknesses. He's not a traditional point guard in terms of the pick and roll of the modern game. And I think that allows some people to claim he's going to be a bust and other people to think he's going to be a star. And that drives mentions.
See, I think that there's a confluence of things. One of them is obviously that. But the other is he's actually really good. This is the best player that the Lakers have drafted in the last 5 years, basically since they've started not being good. And, by the way, there is something to be said that he is the best player drafted to the Lakers.
Yes.
Right? He is basically the best Lakers draft pick since Andrew Bynum.
Right. Who's going to save the Lakers is worth a great discussion. I love Lonzo Ball. I mean, his vision, I love watching this guy play. I have, like you, I have no idea if he's going to be outstanding, but, man, is he fun.
All right, guys, more jump to come. Stay tuned. Welcome back. We're still talking Darko Arnovitz, I'll start with you. What was your favorite bit from the Darko piece that is in the magazine?
You know, he was a bust, and that's indisputable. But, like, all you can do at that point is, can you find fulfillment outside of basketball? And it sounds like he has. And he's farming. He's found meaning, and not to sound schmaltzy, but, like, look, you can't erase the past. And he was a terrible basketball player professionally, and it sounds like he's kind of evolved into a good post-career man.
And maybe related to this, I thought it was fascinating that he talked about voluntarily walking away from the Celtics in 2011. I mean, Amin, you know this. Most guys, other than superstars, they don't control when they walk away. They get told no by the NBA, kicking and screaming, and he's very much the exception there.
My favorite thing was him punching the horse. That's such a Darko story. That's all the time we got here today, but you guys can catch the full Darko story on ESPN on E60 Sunday 9 a.m. Eastern. Again, that is E60 Darko Milicic, ESPN Sunday 9 a.m.